Hey everybody, welcome back to Skygrid with Boomer. I am excited as heck to be coming and showing you some new things that we've been building on the last few days. We're going to come and we're going to start in the foyer area today. We actually have two big things I want to work with you and show. One of them is the new farms that we've built above this foyer, and then also fully automated ice farms in Slimefun, from bucket to ice to packed ice to blue ice, even in Slimefun, all the way down to reactor coolant cells. That's right. You can fully automate nuclear power, and you never have to lift a finger. Now, I'm not choosing to go that route, but we'll show you at least with the coolant cells how you can do that. What I do want to do is take you up. So let's head on up one of these water vators. We'll come up here to the farm area. Now, this, when you first saw this, looks entirely different. This has been completely overhauled. We had 4 different farms in here, and then going up the middle, if you guys remember, we had, on this floor, we had the Netherroot farm, we had the berry farm, we had, excuse me, I think carrot and potato were on this layer. The second layer was wheat and beetroot and sugarcane and bamboo and pumpkin and melon. All that stuff were up there, and I thought it looked horrible. It was enough to get started, but I really didn't like it. So I came and I ripped out every single farm. All gone 100%. Then I ripped out all the dirt. And this is the atrium ceiling from the other side. And we've enclosed something in the middle of all this. I mentioned earlier that bone meal is really important on a server because of Slimefun. When you have automated Android farming, we need bone meal. And so what I've done is I've put in 12 vanilla composters in here. And I have 3 different chests that take crops that come down from above. And this one is pumpkin and melon. I don't think there's anything else tied to this one yet. They come down here and they compost it. These hoppers grab it, bring it over here to a teleporting hopper, which sends back up to the Android farms. This one is potato, carrot, dried kelp, wheat. And that's all I've got built so far, but those are coming in here, and they are composting as well, as you can kind of see. Third one doesn't really have much hooked up to it yet. So there's going to be 2 elevators in here. One on the other side is not installed yet, I don't think. Oh, it is. Okay, good. So I've cleaned this up, opened it up, made it much more warm and welcoming and friendly of an environment. We're going to go up this elevator now to the next floor. And you're going to get to see the farming that we've put in. You're not going to be able to see the whole thing, but this staircase actually spirals from both sides from y equals, this is roughly 29, all the way up to, I think it's 80. This staircase winds on both sides, kind of like a DNA strand. And so in here, we have our first farm. This is the carrot farm. You have 2 ways in here, and every quarter turn, we made an access. So could we have compacted this much more? Yes. I could have actually gone every other space. However, excuse me, there's a minion limit to how many you can place on a server, and it's at 100. And there's a problem with it. It's another one of those plugins that was great in theory. It's adjusts minions. It still has a couple of bugs, although most of them, to the credit of the dev, he's worked most of them out. One of them is that we're still waiting to figure out is why it does not accurately count the number of minions you have. And to show you that, I don't know, I have to turn chat back on. When you go to buy a minion, it tells you how many out of how many you are allowed to place have actually been placed. On the server, we allow 100, and it says I have 97. The physical count is actually at 80. However, if I go to another spot in my base, it will tell me I've placed 14. Then let's say I have 95 in another spot and 97 yet in a third. We have another person on a server that says they've placed 800 out of their 100 allowed. So there are still some bugs to be worked out, but they have been working through a lot of them. So now these guys all get fed from a minion that's right there on the next line. So we're going to go a quarter turn up this. This all goes up by half slabs all the way around in a perfect pattern. It's repeatable. This Mr. Lawn Fertilizer guy is feeding the guys below him feeding the guys on this level, and he's feeding the guys up there. He's been maxed out to a max level. He has a range of 7 blocks, including himself. So 7 in every direction, including himself. He can feed all of these guys. So the first 2 layers are carrot. Then we go up to the next level. Now we start potato. So Spud's over there, and hey, this guy's from Idaho. He's Mr. Potato Head, and the Fry guy. They're doing potato. Now, as we hit the 4th layer, these guys get fed by a minion up on 5. So we've got more Fry guys here. We've got a potato salad. We've got Mr. Au gratin. Not quite sure how we've got a McDonald's Fry guy in here because I don't like French fries from McDonald's. I shouldn't say that. I said I don't like going to McDonald's because it's unhealthy. I actually do like the French fries, but very unhealthy for you. In terms of sodium, in terms of pure fat, very, very unhealthy at McDonald's. So up here we got our bread maker. We've got some seedling guys. Yeah, I don't know who he is either. The wheat guy, and of course Mr. Flour Power. Now, minions have the ability to transport their items 30 blocks, which creates a problem because the bone meal farm is actually like 70 blocks above them. It goes below, but then it's got to be transferred up. So what we are actually doing, and here's that spiral. You can see a little bit more of it, by the way. One side ends over there, one side ends over there, and it's the exact same spiral going all the way down. We're actually having the minions, because they can only teleport 30 blocks, everything is coming to this central platform. Then we're sorting out the individual items, so I get the wheat and seeds, so I have some as a backup to sell in the shop. The rest get sent down to the teleporting of the bone meal farm. I didn't think I needed more than a full dub. 1, I've got 8 minions. They can fill one of these things up in like an hour and a half. And 2, just having that much product lying around doesn't do much good. So we have a regular potato farm, and what we've done is we've actually trapped the poison potatoes in here because they're not part of the sorting system. And so what happens is probably about once every 2 weeks, I'm going to have to come up here and either just toss these like these, or we also have a disposal where I can put a sign on a wall, type disposal in a bracket, and that will get rid of them, put all the items in there. Or I can carry around with me a portable trash can from Slimefun and simply power it up and place it in there. I'm probably going to bring a bin up here or one of the signs. And over here we've got carrot. So I still have to build the beetroot one and then another wort one. Now, these, when you do finally get up here all the way, they don't lead to anywhere. They are locked. If you were to go through that wall at the top layer, you actually would fall outside the tower into the farms. I'm probably going to build a balcony at some point out there just to see how it looks. It's going to disrupt that diamond quartz pattern, so I'm not too sure at this point. Right above that, right up there is where the center part of my shop is, and of course you guys have seen down below. And so that's kind of where we are with the farms. We've got 5 out of the 9 built, or 8 built, excuse me. We're going to do, no, it is 5 out of 10 actually, I'm sorry. We're going to do 1 more layer of wheat, then we're going to do 2 beetroot, and then 2 netherwort. Now netherwort I use for a couple of things. Obviously, I saw some in the shop. They also use them for netherwort blocks, which we're going to be using in a build a little bit later on down the line. And then also I want to work on getting more red netherwort. Now here's the challenge with that. You have really the smelt nether rack to get the bricks to mix with netherwort. Well, as you've heard me say, netherrack is honestly, other than coal, is probably the most sought after item on a server simply because you can grind it in a sulfur to make motors and parts for Slimefun. So for example, if you don't have straight netherrack and to mine it out of the nether, remember the nether is also a grid. At some point we should probably go there so I can show you if you've never seen it. Well, the nether's a grid. So you've got a grid clear in the nether. You've got lava in there. It's a dangerous place to be. You've got zombie pigment spawners. You've got enderman spawners. You've got skeleton spawners. It's a dangerous place. So that leaves one other way to get nether, well, 2 other ways to get netherrack. One is from your rank benefit, your materials, but the other one is by taking stone into a cauldron, turning that in another rack, turning that into sulfur. So one chest, one shulker full of stone, when you turn that in another rack, will give you, I believe it is 6 3/4 stacks another rack from 27 stacks of stone. 6 3/4 stacks another rack turn into 27 sulfur. So going from a chest full of stone, you get 27 sulfur. It's a lot of grindy work. And again, those head out, by the way, to the hourglasses, which I'm in the process of clearing for the second one. So I do want to take you guys, oh, I can't do this. I do have to turn chat back on briefly. Let's turn it back off here. I just don't like displaying it. Okay. So we're going to show you now, the other thing I wanted to show you was automated ice farming in Slimefun. And we're going to go a little bit more in depth into this. So to make ice in Slimefun, it wasn't too hard. We simply can use freezers to freeze water. So that got me thinking, okay, well, when you look through the Slimefun guide, you know what, I'm sorry guys, I am going to need chat back on for a while here. I need to get my Slimefun guide out. So let's look up freezer. All right. So you can see you can turn water into ice. I said, great. Now I just need to automate buckets. But then I realized ice right into packed ice at a 1-to-1 ratio. When you're in vanilla, that's a 9-to-1 ratio. So for every packed ice, I need 9 regular ice. Then I saw packed ice in a blue ice, 1-to-1 ratio. I said, you're telling me 1 bucket of water can get me 1 blue ice. I said, sign me up. And then I go further, 1 blue ice in a freezer can make nuclear reactor coolant cells. Man, I wish I would have known that when I built my nuclear reactor before I blew it up, because I didn't have that. So I can go from 1 water, which should take 81 ice, 81 buckets of water to make 1 blue ice. Instead, I can go 1 water bucket to 1 blue ice. And here's how we've done this. I have 4 of these that take buckets of water in and put out ice. One of those 4 then goes here to make plain ice. Then I have another one going from ice to packed ice. Packed ice to blue, or I'm sorry, it goes from ice, the first 4, yeah. Then we go from ice to packed ice. The packed ice one goes there. Then we go from ice to packed ice to blue ice. So blue ice comes, packed ice comes in. Oh, I got the wrong one. Sorry guys, that's back over here I think. Packed ice in, blue ice out. So the blue ice comes out here. And then I have a 4th one that takes ice, goes from ice to packed to blue to nuclear reactant coolant cells. In other words, 10 freezers do all that for me. I need 4 for the reactor coolant cells, 3 for the blue ice, 2 for the packed, and 1 for the regular ice. And all that's getting stored in barrels, and then I come back with shulker boxes to pick it up. So in Slimefun, that's a pretty simple process. The process and challenge now became, how do I make an automated water bucket collection system? Well, we've got that right here. We're going to come up here. Some of you may recognize this design if you're a fan of Ilmango. I got this off of his channel. I didn't really tweak much at all. I took a little bit out of it actually that wasn't necessary because of the things that are specific to this server. So you start by creating 2 water sources on either side. That creates your side in the middle. Every time this dispenser fires with an empty bucket into it, it empties out that these 2 water sources come back together, make another water source. So in other words, you have an internal water source. I have a whole bunch of buckets ready to go. What I need to do is get 1 bucket from there into the dispenser. There's a comparator on the back side of this dispenser. When it detects that there's a bucket in there, it puts a signal on this block, powers this dust, which powers the rail, which causes the dispenser to trigger to suck up the water. This signal comes down and for 2 ticks hits that block and unlocks. It's hard to say. I think I've got it buried. Well, there's a hopper underneath here that allows for that to come down and pull the bucket of water out. That hopper then teleports the bucket of water into the first freezer or the second or third or fourth, because it attaches it, actually it attaches it into this chest first, and then this input pulls out the water bucket and outputs it to each of the 4 freezers randomly. When this comparator fires up, we also get a signal that comes in and temporarily shuts that hopper off, fires the dropper 2 seconds, 2 ticks later, then the power allows it to go through to here and then to here. And so we get another one in the dispenser, it picks it up, powers it, starts that circle all over. So we're going to fire this up, and the way we do this is we grab one bucket and we're going to put it right into the dispenser. Okay, and you'll see a bucket comes in, fills up, the hopper unlocks, pulls it down, locks the other one, so while it comes down, the dropper drops one into the hopper drops it into the dispenser, and we repeat this process over and over. So the water bucket goes in here. I'm sorry, it comes back in here. Wrong one. This is where the water buckets go. They go out that one, into the 4 freezers, and eventually we'll see if we can find one here. Okay, so one's in here, turn it into ice. It does it randomly, so it's kind of hard to catch one. So if we sit on this just for a moment, hopefully it'll pick one here and it'll go, there we go. So now that water is turning into ice. The empty water bucket then gets pulled about, goes back into here, into this hopper, and then works its way back into the system to become a bucket of water again. Real simple, not a lot of redstone, not difficult to put together. You just have to make sure you get your inputs and output nodes set properly. So we have 2 of them that are accepting, I don't know why I did 2, but I have 2 of them accepting the water buckets coming back in from those 4. Wasn't necessary. I really could have gotten away with 1. For some reason I did 2. Oh, I've got them on different channels, that's why. I didn't want to overload the channels, so I split it up to reduce the demand on the channels for this. I got a 3rd coming in there, and then there's a 4th coming in here. So each one of these, instead of all coming back on the same channel and going to the same channel, I've got them coming back on separate because they actually input right here on those blue ones. And if I had them all on the same channel on those inputs, they couldn't go to the proper chains to make a different kind of ice. So I actually did have to do all 4 different circles with empty buckets coming back. Hopefully that made sense and I didn't confuse anybody. If I did, come on a server, I'll be happy to explain it to you and let you see in real world. So that gives me that automatic ice farm, which is really cool because one of the plans down the road, so when we've got enough of an area grid cleared well beyond the farms that we're trying to work on right now, this is a couple months down the line, we have plans for an ice boat racetrack as well as a go-kart racetrack that we're going to do. And we're going to have server-wide races on there. The track is going to be pretty big. If any of you watched the Hermitcraft server, by the way, if you don't know, they are about to reset to 1.16 in the Season 7. But Rendog made a pretty good size and really, really classy built racetrack. We're going to go for something a little bit bigger than what Rendog did, probably about 3 times the size that we want to have server races on, 1, 2, and 3 lap races. But that's down the road. But now we have the ability to create infinite ice. So we see these coming over. Hey, you just saw another ice. You can see how fast ice is actually making its way in here. If I remember right, the barrel was filling up. It didn't take that long to get the barrel filled up. I think it was just about 5 or 6 hours. Might be a tiny bit longer than that, but it filled up pretty quick. Same thing with the packed ice, the blue ice, and the reactor coolant cells, because there's always one going through each one of these. So for every ice I produce, it also produces a packed ice, a blue ice, and a reactor coolant cell at the same time. I have 4 chains going, and all it takes is to get one of those started. So when I start, there would be 4 ice, 3 packed ice, 2 blue ice, 1 reactor cooler cell. But from there, it generates all 4 at the same pace. So I can get an insane amount of stuff really quick. The other thing I did real quick on the base, I'll show you. We cleaned up the cobblestone generators to try to save some minion space. Instead of having 4 minions making cobble for every one of these, we took the big pile right over there of 48 minions and we pulled 6 of them out. They're still physically there, but instead of all 48 going to the Slimefun dust farms, 3 are now sending cobble to this farm for the crucibles to create lava. So when it's running, cobble comes in, buckets come in, produces lava, sends it back up as fuel for the androids in the farm. So we got rid of all 4 of those plus the feeder. So that saved me 20 minions that were placed. I didn't have to place any more for these guys because they were already here. There's a one on the far corner that does have 6 minions plus a feeder. So I was able to pick up 13 minions altogether out of the base to run these cobble farms. And everything still runs fine. I don't run out of cobble. As long as I keep the minions fed, we're good to go. The other thing we've added on, we finally got around to putting the wool and glass color kits back into a sorting system. We chose to use the network system. A little bit faster, a little bit cleaner, no redstone, takes up less space. And it's the same thing of having a double chest here. So every time we have kit color, we simply deposit the wool and the glass in here, and within a matter of seconds, it's all sorted automatically into its own chambers. So that's pretty much it for an update. Right now, we are getting ready to build the next farms. I am going to take you there real fast, just to kind of show you what's going on. I'm going to shut this back down real quick. As you guys got, as I showed you previously, we did finish the kelp farm up through that layer. I still have to put a door and a walkway, but that's okay. We've got the automatic smeltery of the kelp. Another building will go there eventually. Right now, the contractor's talking to the man. The next big thing we're going to build over here are going to be dual towers, our twin towers of shrooms. The big man upstairs, guy who owns and runs this, we're calling this Boomtown. We finally got a name. The big man said, this is Boomtown. So we're in Boomtown. So Boomtown is getting the addition of 2 new twin towers of mushrooms. They will both produce brown and red mushrooms. And they're going to go pretty high. I believe the building plans that we saw at City Hall called for 20 floors in each building. That will give me an 80 block tall tower. It's going to get really close to the top of this. We might have to go back and revisit because they also want some antennas and other things up on the roof, and we got to make sure we've got our clearance for city codes. After that, we're going to have a couple more farms. We're going to have a very small bamboo farm. Bamboo grows quick, and honestly in the server, the only thing we use it for is scaffolding. And I haven't sold a whole lot of scaffolding at the shop, so we're going to build a very small bamboo farm. We're going to put a cactus farm out here as well. And then we're going to kind of sit back as far as farms are concerned, see how the server runs along with my FPS. And if we're still at 20 TPS, ticks per second, and my FPS is where it should be, then we'll start expanding. We'll get the man to apply some more permits. The sugarcane farm is going to stay where it's at, but we'll expand these two a little bit more. So that's kind of it for today and what we're working on. So the next time we're on, hopefully you're going to see a little bit more of this done. In the meantime, guys, I want to thank you for watching. And if you liked today's episode, please tickle that little button down below on your screen. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and turn on notifications so you know when those videos come out. But as always, when you are on Skygrid on the Fanatic MC server, you gotta go Boomer or you gotta go home. We'll see you.